8:17, BBC Radio 2. It's the Reverend Kate Bottley.
Hello.
Sitting to my left, and my name is Jason Mohammed. Now, Kate, have you ever seen a metal band play in a church with a pipe organist?
I've seen a lot of things, but I've never seen that.
Well, our next guests are encouraging just that. They're here to discuss the creative and unexpected ways people are using faith spaces. David Pipe, cathedral organist at the Diocese of Leeds, and Dr. Mark Minette, senior lecturer in music production at Huddersfield University. Good morning to you both. How are you?
Very well,
Good, thank you.
Very nice to see you. I noticed you've gone deeper there because is that in sympathy?
That's my radio voice.
Thank you very much.
It's lovely.
Very good. I like that.
You want to watch out for your job. He sounds great.
I know, it does sound good, doesn't he? Yeah, and he looks fantastic as
Amazing.
well. Yeah. Firstly, Mark, what do Sunday mornings look like normally for you?
Well, I've just followed the rules there. It's a heroic sleep, really, and then trying to consume my body weight in coffee.
All right, okay. When you say heroic sleep,
Good 10 hours.
10 hours?
Absolute
Lovely.
minimum, yeah.
Wow.
Double figures, nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. David, what about you?
Well, till recently, I was at the Diocese of Leeds. About 2 months ago now, I left, so I've got no church door. First time in 20 years. So I'm enjoying a bit of Lions, playing in different places, walking the dog. So, a bit different from how it used to be.
Yeah, well, it's lovely to see you both in studio. Mark, tell us how this musical pairing of heavy metal and church organ came together.
Well, myself, so David recorded the pipe organ for a black metal album I was recorded for me, and we went for a coffee afterwards, and I've always had an interest in the pipe organ. My dad took me to Liverpool Cathedral when I was 8 years old, and it was just like the sonic impact. It was just, it just melted my face, and until I experienced my first rock gig, excuse me, about 3-4 years later, I'd never experienced anything like it. It was incredible. So I've always had an interest in the pipe organ, and when I recorded David playing the pipe organ, I was like, it's an instrument the size of a building, and its ability to resonate your chest cavity. It's called tactile transduction. It's just the sense of feeling sound, not just hearing it, is incredible. And David was telling me about the potential plight of the pipe organ, that we're sleepwalking towards losing all the shared meaning and the legacy of the pipe organ in this country. And so David said to me, have you got any ideas about putting a gig on that would bring a different audience to hear the pipe organ, not your usual organ recital crowd? And I was like, just the ticket.
Oh, I love that.
A doom metal band called Arth from the northeast, and it was a concept album about St Cuthbert and Lindisfarne, and we put it on at Huddersfield Town Hall, not knowing how it was going to go, but there was challenges, but it was incredible, and it's all grown since that. Now my own band, which is a symphonic metal band called Plague of Angels, collaborating with David and the project and moving forward, and it's absolutely fascinating.
It's the mashup we were all waiting for, isn't it? I mean, it feels like we're fulfilling. It's not normally what we play at 8:20 here on BBC Radio 2 on Good Morning Sunday, but we do need to hear a little bit of it, don't we?
Let's all wake them up.
Amazing. So I was just saying to David, is that you playing? He went, yeah, that's me in the background. It's just face melting, I think is the phrase you used. I think you're probably right. But tell us about the atmosphere. When you played that gig, David, what was it like to be in that space?
Oh, it's amazing. So it's Huddersfield Town Hall. We did it as part of Kirklees Year of Music, and they lit up the hall. It was like what I imagine a rock gig would be like. They had a smoke machine, lights everywhere. But the nice thing was the real age group, I suppose. There we had young kids, we had people probably in their 80s there, and it was a really great atmosphere, and they seemed to love it. And as Mark said, the sort of sonic impact of the organ is huge. It did look great, and the tech guys at the hall had absolutely gone to town. So it's a fab atmosphere, really good fun.
And you were living your rock god legend fantasy there, I guess.
I grew up on Queen Greatest Hits. So my CD collection was Queen Greatest Hits 1 and 2, Simon Preston, World of the Organ. That's my world. So this is like the collision. Amazing.
And how is this going to help the future of the pipe organ?
I think it proves the organ can do more than just play hymns and weddings, funerals, Christmas. That's what I think. It can just prove it can do all kinds of stuff.
I mean, you're talented people, though, that whole sort of hands and feet all at the same time. I take my hat off to you. I led the goodbye service for one of my former organists in one of my parish churches this week, and it's a whole skill set. It's like patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time, isn't it?
Mostly works.
Mark, what impact are these performances and other gigs having on UK churches, do you think?
Well, myself and David have been really surprised at the at the reaction. We assumed that the idea of churches, whether they're consecrated or deconsecrated, having metal bands in, which I think a lot of people would consider as slightly heretical. We were very surprised at the reaction and how open-minded a lot of churches were. And it's interesting because from a personal perspective, I have a faith in music. I think music is about the human condition. And I think, as David was just saying, it breaks down barriers. We had an audience from 8 to 80 at the gig, and it's different worlds. And I love it. I mean, David's introducing me to pipe organ music, and I'm introducing David to all these symphonic metal bands like Nightwish. David's texting me going, "Oh, I've just heard Phantom of the Opera by Nightwish. It's incredible." And it develops empathy. I think this idea of music and the world, the state that it's in, certainly needs more empathy. So, in answer to your question about the churches, we were very, very surprised by the reaction. It just wasn't just UK churches. There were a lot in Scotland. And the Scottish Federation of Pipe Organists, wasn't it, David, contacted us. But we've had emails from Germany, from Canada, and we've got St Mary Redcliffe.
Yeah, Bristol. They're interested.
In Bristol.
Amazing, fantastic.
Hans Zimmer did the playback and the recording for Interstellar, so we're excited about that. I think that'll be in February next year.
That's good. And David, are we going to see more gigs around the UK? Are you constantly getting calls?
We hope so. I mean, one of the things, you need quite a big organ to match the sound of a metal band. I mean, I can make a lot of noise, but they can make a lot more. So we have to have a big enough organ, a big enough space, and also to get an audience in. But I hope so. I think this is something that we'd love to take on tour. You know, Germany, we were on German news quite recently. That would be great if we could go further afield than just the UK.
And what's the audience reaction been like? Are people enjoying themselves?
Seems to be absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. It's good fun.
Of course, and a great atmosphere as well.
Yeah.
You know, and brilliant to use church buildings for more than just worship on a Sunday. You know, these buildings are the best spaces in lots of communities. So to only use them for a few hours on a Sunday doesn't seem quite right. And why do you think churches are such great spaces for these kind of gigs?
They're hearts of so many communities. And as you say, they're big spaces, and architecturally, just in terms of their sheer size, they're impressive. And I think people don't often realise that the building at the heart of their community, be that a village, a town, a city, can be more than something they walk past or are aware that something goes on a Sunday morning or at Christmas. And I think a lot of buildings, of course, are very expensive to upkeep. The organs, too, are very expensive to keep going, and they need to be used more. You know, churches need heating, they need bodies in there to make it feel as though it's a living space. So I hope they can realise that a project such as ours, which is a sort of mashup of so many different cultural and musical styles, can be relevant and enjoyable.
Well, more power to you. It's a delightful thing. I'm looking forward to like the T-shirts with your gig list on the back, and the fan club, and you know, all that sort of stuff. People,
merch.
Merch. We could get on the merch. We could help with that. We can do some merch. Come on,
yeah, fantastic. And I live in South Wales, so we'll have to get you down there. Some magnificent churches there as well.
Yeah, definitely. That would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. There's some challenges with the acoustics of churches, which is something that myself and my colleagues at the University of Huddersfield, my colleague Andrew Bourbon, is looking into solving this with some big tech companies, because the acoustics of churches, whilst great for pipe organs, get a metal band in there a little bit reverberant. So we're looking at solving that problem at the moment. But in answer, the impact, the audience reaction so far has just been absolutely incredible.
Joyous. We should probably follow this with some heavy metal music, but we're not going to. It's going to be Tiffany, I'm afraid. I think we're alone now. But so I apologise for that. But anyway, David and Mark, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about it. Bless you. Thank you so much for your work. Join in if you know the words.